before Jackie Robinson broke Major League Baseball's color barrier, a wiry young man named Bud Fowler was tearing up the diamond as the game's first black professional player.
Yeah, it's a fantastically interesting story.
A story local baseball buff Ray Carbone stumbled upon a decade ago when researching his book on New Hampshire legends.
I was looking for some piece of baseball history about the Lakes region that would be significant.
He certainly found it in Bud Fowler, a trailblazer who played on the all-white Laconia Town team in the 1880s.
This is O-Pee-Chee Park in Laconia, right off Lake O-Pee-Chee. This is probably the place that Bud Fowler played.
When Ray, a former newspaper reporter, wrote about Bud way back in 2015, he never imagined the black ball player would enter the most hallowed ground in sports. More than a century after Bud Fowler took the field, he is now enshrined in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Class of 2022, inducted by the great Dave Winfield.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, and welcome to the National Baseball Hall of Fame.
Bud's professional career began in 1878. He played just about every position: catcher, pitcher, and he excelled at second base.
Bud Fowler was, a really outstanding ball player.
Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, calls Bud a pioneer who was held back simply because of the color of his skin.
He was literally carrying the weight of his race, and it just never was going to give him a fair opportunity to compete the way that he wanted to compete.
Bud jumped from team to team, playing for minor league clubs in 22 states over his two-decade career. Racism made him a baseball nomad. He never stayed in one place for too long.
The teams would go to the management and say, we don't want to play with this guy anymore. First of all, he's black, and second of all, he's making us look bad.
Opponents took flagrant cheap shots.
When Fowler was on second base, he used to put wooden shin guards on his leg because the opposing players, whenever they would come in, they would always try to spike him high and cut his legs up.
Even impartial umpires showed bias.
Who used to point blank say that any team that had a questionable call, if there was a black player on the team like Fowler, the call was going against their team.
Despite having 2 strikes against him, Bud flourished. Newspaper accounts detail impressive stats, like hitting .350 with the Binghamton Bingos and leading the Nebraska State League in steals. Bud's success carried over from club to club and into Vermont. He was one of the stars of the Montpelier City Capitals, but then the team went broke.
He left in August, and then he and a couple other guys from this team, looking for a couple of bucks to put in their pocket, they wound up in Laconia, and they were hired by basically the Laconia Town team.
Were it not for this article in the Laconia Democrat from 1887, we may have never known Bud played in New Hampshire or about his leadership role. Mr. Fowler, the manager of the team, has an excellent record as a second baseman, having played with several of the crack Western clubs. The Laconia Town team isn't documented in any of Bud's records, perhaps because his stint in Laconia was so short. Just 4 games to finish out the regular season, but 2 big exhibition games against the Boston Beaneaters, the top major league team of the time. 1 game in Concord, the other here in Laconia.
They didn't win either one of the games, but the Beaneaters were really impressed, especially with Fowler, because according to one of the press reports, they actually walked up to Fowler after the game, shook his hand, congratulated him.
Soon after, baseball owners formalized segregation. Bud then helped create the Page Fence Giants, one of the greatest black barnstorming teams of all time, and a prelude to the Negro Leagues.
They were going all over the country, whooping everybody's rump.
It would be 60 years before Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, standing on the shoulders of Bud Fowler. Bud, whose given name was John Jackson, did not live to see the moment. He died in 1913 at age 54. His impact on the game endures, spreading baseball to black communities all across the country.
He certainly deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Bud Fowler returns home to Cooperstown, the village, coincidentally, where he grew up. His achievements cast in bronze as he takes his place among baseball's immortals.
For his pioneering role in this game to be recognized is a tremendous accomplishment and a tremendous nod for Black baseball history.